Rival Sports Pod, covering the New York sports scene and behind the scenes, including the Buffalo Bills, New York Jets, New York Mets, and everything else in New York sports worth your precious time. And now here's Joe Pastor and Glenn Ferretti.
What's going on, Glenn? How you doing?
What's up, buddy? How's it going?
I'm doing all right. I think we're at that point where, football season's over. Baseball hasn't started yet. What am I going to do with myself? And I hope it's not going down like rabbit holes on like social media, including videos, because I learned way too much about hippos earlier. I was watching this video where the guy at the zoo was like taking a pumpkin and feeding it by putting his arm into the hippo's mouth. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, hopefully you can find something else to do besides that.
Yeah. The interesting thing, though, was that hippos are vegetarians, I found out, and that also Pablo Escobar created a hippo crisis in Colombia because he had like that zoo, in his compound. And I guess after he was raided, they just like left the animals and the hippos broke out. So there's a few hundred of them in Colombia at the risk of being like thousands by like 2050. And it's like, you obviously don't want all these hippos running around because another thing I learned, they're more dangerous than lions.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say you found an interesting way to like smuggle through using hippos rather than, 18-wheelers.
Probably could pull something off.
That's funny. Well, hopefully, maybe baseball season's right around the corner. We got a little excitement with our Mets coming this year. See, I guess we were always kind of excited around February and March timeframe. But there's a lot of positive things on the horizon, which I think we'll get to a little bit later today, and that can occupy your time instead of watching videos on the hippopotamus.
Yeah, that's good because even the Super Bowl's not too far in the rear view at this point, and I guess still relevant with all the officiating talk that's been circulating around the game.
Yeah, I feel like in the minority with this one. People are really all over the reps, which in the time of watching the game, I kind of felt like, all right, it was a terrible call. It ruined the Super Bowl. But it's like if the guy's admitting, he held him, and it's kind of hard to argue with the person doing it, whether it's at the end of the game, middle of the game, before the game. Just from a fan perspective, obviously it sucked that kind of ruined the chance of watching Hurts come back. We're not Eagles fans, we're not Chiefs fans. We just want to see a sick game. But
yeah, and if you recall, if the Eagles had gone down and kicked a field goal, I would have won on my squares. But that being said, I understand why people didn't like the call. But it was a hold. And the other thing that someone said is because the hold occurred on the front side of the play, Mahomes saw it. And that's one of those situations where generally if the quarterback throws to it, the official saw it too, and you're going to get the flag. But I do get the criticism that it seemed to be this quote unquote let them play mentality. Right. But at the same time, the rules are the rules. But it might be part of the story. But I think when you look at the overall game, the Chiefs did more to win. The Eagles had 0 defensive stops the entire second half. I wonder if there's ever been a Super Bowl, and I couldn't find this, where a winning team allowed 0 defensive stops in the second half. I like to think it's not possible.
See, I'm still in the opposite camp on this one too, like big time, because that's all you've been hearing is everybody crapping on the Eagles defense the entire time. But when you look at the game, I get it. Like the offensive line of Kansas City dominated the defensive line. That was the big story. But as I've said from the beginning, the NFC is terrible. Like you look at the teams that the Eagles played, like those guys got double-digit sacks, but they're not playing anywhere near the caliber of talent, I think, in the AFC. Yes, the game was close, truly just due to Jalen Hurts. But the Eagles defense, like, Hurts fumbled the ball. They returned it for a touchdown. 7
Correct.
Points there. Kadarius Toney returned the ball down to the 1 yard line. So they punched a touchdown in there. So at the end of the day, after all these terrible stats for the Eagles defense, like not stopping them in the entire second half, like they really gave up 21 points. Like they didn't give up 35 points in this game like the Chiefs did.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to say like they were like the sole reason why the team lead. Like, yeah, they could have played better. They could have put pressure on Mahomes. Like, I get that. But Mahomes' stats were like, outside of the touchdowns, like I think he threw for less than under 200 yards.
He did, yeah.
He didn't have to go very far, right? I mean, he really didn't have to.
Yeah.
It's not like there were these massive, like 70-yard drives that he was taking him down the field on the Eagles D every single possession. I mean, I think if Hurts could take that one back, like I think it was like a 3rd and 5 situation where he fumbled. Like he clearly wasn't going to get the first down. There were guys surrounding him, but he's using his instincts, trying to make a play, fumble just with nobody touching him. Obviously they took that one to the house. And then the other one was special teams, just not making a play, which a lot of people were saying that was a weakness of the Eagles, and it got exploited. But defense didn't play good. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, the Eagles defense played great, but I don't think they played as bad as people think. Like they only gave up, what was the score at halftime? I think it was 24-14.
14, yeah.
And one was a fumble return for a touchdown. So it's like they held them to 7 in the first half.
Yeah, that's true, but they still didn't get a stop. But they didn't get to him. And the other thing too is and maybe it's more of a play calling and how good Andy Reid is, like you mentioned the Kadarius Toney. Then they were wide open going into the end zone, and then later down there they basically ran the same play to the other side, wide open again.
Yeah, I watched those
and those things too. So it's like if you don't stop the other team, if you're giving up, I guess the special team score, if you're fumbling the ball when nobody touches you, how did you expect to win? And those are part of the story too. And that's my point is, I guess a little more my point is, I guess it probably would be unfair to completely blame the Eagles defense, but it seems like people just want to blame everything on the refs when clearly that's only one little part of the story. And there was so much more going on in the game.
Yeah, no, I mean, not many teams are going to stop Mahomes from the 1 yard line. Obviously, I watched one of like the all 22s after where they were showing those plays. And I mean, Andy Reid, he really designs up some plays. Like he ran the same kind of motion ahead of time where he ran it all the way across the field on one of the previous plays. And then the next time just had, Toney, run in and then out, and obviously completely fooled Darius Slay, who went over the top in the back as a safety. And, I mean, have you seen two guys more wide open in the Super Bowl in a long time, right? Just on little out routes?
Yeah, I can't. Nothing's coming to my mind. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I know he was pretty pissed off today, Andy Reid, just talking about how he can't believe the enemy hasn't gotten a job offer in the last few years, and it doesn't look like he's going to get one this year as well.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I really don't understand that.
I think I think obviously everyone's pointing to Andy Reid's the main man behind the play calls and the designs and everything, and he's kind of just there because he doesn't call the play. So maybe he's got to take an opportunity as a lateral move to be the main play caller somewhere before someone will give him an opportunity.
I guess someone else was saying, I thought it was interesting, was that maybe he doesn't interview well. Because, I worked with someone who was trying to move upwards, and they knew they didn't interview well, and they had a hard time getting the position they wanted because they just, for whatever reason, they're a great employee, but when it comes time for the interview, for whatever reason, they don't go well. So that could be it. Because
if I had 17 3-hour tapes of somebody, performing on the field, I wouldn't really take as much stock in the interview. I do a lot of interviewing myself. Like the proof is in the pudding on the field with this team. If anything, he's learned from one of the great masterminds. I think teams are taking chances on a lot of other coaches over him, which is surprising.
I agree. Like the Eagles lost both of their coordinators. I wonder if that made Sirianni cry. Do you think Sirianni cried after he lost both coordinators? Probably.
Yeah. He didn't seem to be crying. I think when he made that gesture to Mahomes during the game, I don't know what he was telling him during it. I really couldn't tell. But it was an interesting clip when you saw Jalen Hurts basically kind of being the leader and being like, "Dude, just put your hand down." Like,
yeah,
stop, poking the bear there. Like, you're not on the field, man. Like. I think he does. I think he is going a little bit overboard. It almost reminds me just of like just like a brand new like high school or like Pop Warner coach, like just got the job, hasn't learned how to be a professional in the NFL on the sidelines, handling things the right way. Because it's like, dude, it's like a fraternity. Like, you don't want to make enemies all over the league. And I think he's quickly going to make a lot of enemies the way he acts towards like the other teams, especially during the game. Like, you really don't see coaches doing that, showing up the other players.
No.
Yeah. So
remember one of the coaches like tripped an opposing player years ago? Remember that?
I remember
that. Yeah. I wish I could recall what that was. But like that was crazy.
It is crazy. I wish I could remember that too. But yeah, I don't think anybody's too upset that he lost outside of, Philly fans, except you guys, the Bills fans, were kind of rooting for the Eagles. I don't think they wanted to see Mahomes win again. The majority of them.
The majority, yeah.
So, yeah, you were talking about Kelsey. I think it's an interesting topic, with him winning his second Super Bowl, of like, where's his all-time rank, amongst tight ends? Because he was a beast with Alex Smith. People think it was just Mahomes, like that this guy all of a sudden became a rocket. But, I mean, he was a beast with Alex Smith. He's been obviously unbelievable as really like the primary target for the team, kind of similar to like Gronk, being like the main guy, where the tight end's the number one guy. But where do you put him all time?
Well, I think it's funny you say that, because I just saw something, and I think in like catches and yards, they're pretty close. Gronk has him in the touchdowns, but it's definitely those guys are 1, 2. Probably a little too close to call. It seems like Kelsey's probably going to have the longer career. So I think when all's said and done, it's probably going to be Kelsey.
Yeah, you got Shannon Sharp, though. I mean, a couple, Super Bowls with Denver and Baltimore.
You'd have from the Chargers, what's his name?
Antonio
Gates. Yeah, Antonio Gates in there, who's very high. I would put Antonio Gates probably ahead of Sharp. I'd probably say right now it's pretty much like a tie between Gronk and Kelsey, and then with Gates next, and I guess Sharp. Am I forgetting anyone? I mean, who knows? Where maybe Kittle ends up in there.
Yeah, that's true. I'm talking, people playing like while we're alive. I think they're, I thought you were going to throw the Kellen Winslow Sr.
yeah.
I was like, all right, I haven't seen any VHSs of his game. So, we're going to stick with current players. Yeah. I mean, those guys are the main guys. I mean, Gronk, I think was kind of more of a huge like blocker, where Kelsey kind of just plays tight end receiver. Yeah. I mean, I know he can block, but I think that's the only thing. And I think he said he had more touchdowns. I didn't really know the specifics, but
yeah, Gronk had a lot more. Yeah. Gronk didn't get credit for being as good of a blocker, as he was.
Yeah. He's an animal. So he's probably about the same age, right? Kelsey's only a couple years younger than Gronk. So it's an interesting argument. I mean, if he keeps on going, he could probably definitely take the number one standalone without any issue.
Yeah, the only other thing about the Super Bowl that got a little lost, I think, in the referee discussion was how bad the turf was.
Oh my God!
Like the guys slipping around on it.
I guess they sprayed it. I guess they sprayed it down. And in Arizona, that's not a good plan if you're going to like blast the place with like air conditioning and other things. But yeah, it was like an ice skating rink for the kicker. I saw Mahomes. Everybody was going on. Brian Baldinger showed like a clip of one thing where like 4 guys fell down on the same play. Might have been a big reason why the defense couldn't get home.
Yeah, it could be. I'm surprised they don't know this. Like you live in Arizona. Like, how don't they know that that's problematic? Maybe they don't have.
Well, I guess it was an issue. I guess it's been issues in other games, and they like tried some experimental new procedure that was like worse.
And like they put new turf in, and then maybe the roots weren't as long in the grass. Someone else was saying. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a freaking botanist. But I don't think this guy was a botanist either, who was having this discussion.
Yeah, all I know is people are slipping and sliding all over themselves. That's all I could really tell. I didn't really analyze the seedlings that were planted.
Well,
I'm sure they could afford the new sod for that place.
Yeah. The other thing I thought was entertaining was Juju Smith post that tweet with the Valentine
What a clown.
What did the Valentine say? I'll hold you when it matters most. And it was, what's his name? The guy in the Eagles who held them. Not King.
Bradbury.
Bradbury, thank you.
Yeah,
I kept thinking Gainwell. It obviously wasn't him. Bradbury, holds you when it matters most, and AJ Brown just let into him.
Rightfully so.
Oh yeah, I called. What did he say? He said, "First off, congratulations, y'all deserve it. This is lame. You was on the way out of the league before Mahomes resurrected your career on your 1-year deal." TikTok boy.
Yeah.
He admitted he grabbed you, but don't act like that ever was. But congratulations again.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. What a ridiculous comment. I mean, I don't know.
TikTok boy on your 1-year deal.
I mean, did he even have any catches? I have no idea. Yeah. I think he had they said like 160 yards in like the last 6 weeks or something.
Yeah.
He's basically been a non-factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw another clip with Melvin Gordon was kind of funny too. Like, who even remember that guy's on the Chiefs? But they asked him a question about it. He was like, "Dude, I was along for the free ride. I didn't do shit."
like LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, he's like he didn't do anything. So I guess you could take it one way or the other. But yeah, what a clown Smith Schuster was.
Yeah, I guess some guys never learn just who they are.
No. Yeah. You definitely weren't the reason they won the Super Bowl. I wouldn't be clowning on other guys. That's funny. I thought you were going to talk about Rihanna in the halftime show.
Yeah, it was interesting. Kind of like a game of Super Mario Brothers. I was waiting for Mario to come out and maybe swat some people, or our boy there who liked him with the raccoon Mario from Mario 3 and be flying in and swat her with her tail. But
that's funny. Yeah, I love it how people were unsure if she was lip syncing or not. I was like, if the microphone's down at her feet and the music's still playing, she's probably lip syncing. I'm not sure it's that sensitive of a mic.
It's always lip syncing, or it's going to sound terrible.
Yeah, it'll be brutal. I mean, I think we were all holding our breath to see when Jay-Z and
I know.
was going to come out, but she rolled solo. I thought it was good. I thought she did a great job. She's got a tremendous voice, but there was also a near fall in that as well. Somebody zoomed in on one of the dancers that was 40 feet in the air, literally, almost wiped out while they were in the air. That would have been quite tragic.
Yeah, I didn't see that. My daughter saw it and asked me about it, and she was in shock that I didn't know. I'm I don't know every detail. I know what you want me to do.
Yeah, we see all these things after the fact. That's tough to catch live when there's 3,000 people dancing at the same time.
Mm-hmm. But good for her, pregnant to put on a performance like that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not my favorite genre of music, but I think that might be the way to go with Super Bowls, to do those higher end choreographed shows, as opposed to I prefer a rock band or a country band, but I think for the Super Bowl they act like Rihanna and what they had last year with the NWA guys, Eminem and Snoop.
Yeah, tough to top that one. I was like, you could pretty much get Snoop every year. That guy's doing game shows. Mm-hmm. He's repping Skechers now. I was like, Snoop might be I love Snoop, but he might be the biggest sellout ever, dude. You throw a couple bucks his way, he'll throw some Velcro Skechers on for 5 minutes.
Yeah. He's got his own wine now.
Yeah, he'll do anything. But yeah, Snoop's the man. But if you need a quick 2 minutes on the Super Bowl, I'm sure he'll be down to rap with you there, Rihanna.
Yeah.
So
does it make you want to wear Skechers? Would you consider it?
No, absolutely not.
No,
maybe
even if they got the BOGO deal.
Yeah, maybe if they had the Chronic album painted on the side of them or something. But yeah, no, I'm not rocking the Skechers.
Yeah.
Sorry, Snoop, but I'm sure that you got a nice check to do that.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. So what else? What else?
About other guys making money, David Carr is going to make some money. He just got released. I said David Carr.
David Carr makes some money. It's just a lot less than Derek Carr.
That what Derek's going to make. But yeah, Derek's gonna clean house. Probably make a good $40 million.
I saw he turned down turn down any type of trade opportunity.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised, like, the Raiders didn't just, like, hold him hostage.
Well, they would have had to pay him $40 million. So
Yeah. But do you think he would have just showed up and not played and stood there?
Probably, but I don't think they ever would want to cut that check because they didn't plan on paying him.
That's true.
So they had to do that. So he knew that. So he didn't accept a trade, which is pretty awesome too, because he's like, you obviously don't want me. I'm not giving you any trade capital back.
Yeah.
And now, we'll kind of see. He's obviously a hot commodity, I think, for, Saints, Jets, a bunch of other teams are looking at him as well. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on. I'm kind of, I'm obviously all in on Rodgers if that can happen. Apparently they had the dates wrong on what day he was entering the dark room. He still showed up on McAfee.
Yes.
On Tuesday, which was pretty cool. I mean, his interview was awesome. How he was blasting Ian Rappaport about basically like, you don't know who's in my inner circle. And he's like, if they're giving you information, I can assure you that they're not in my inner circle anymore. So the dates never changed. 4 months ago, I planned on entering the dark room at the end of this week, and you got a lot of misinformation. So pretty much keep my name out your mouth is what he said.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if the Jets, that has to be who you want, because $40 million for David Carr, I keep saying David Carr, Derek Carr is a lot of money considering Allen's making $43 million, Mahomes is making $45.
Yeah.
And then you give this guy $40 million.
Like, he'll probably get a long-term deal. He'll get 150 guaranteed somewhere. And I don't know if it'll be 40 annualized, but we'll see. I mean, he's going to get a good deal for sure. I could see you going into a dark room for 4 days. You think you'd be able to last?
No, that's a long time, man. And like, he's going to give himself an enema too. And I guess there's like a toilet in the middle of the room.
Really? Well, I'd hope there'd be a toilet.
And he's also going to like record himself.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was interesting. I was actually shocked that he was recording it, because I was like, he's doing this like for himself, he's. But I was like, now he's like turning it into a video, which I guess if you can,
Do you go back and watch it, or do I wonder if he's going to like monetize it?
I think he'll monetize it. I mean, otherwise, who the hell wants to go back and watch 4 days of pitch black? I mean, there can't be much to watch.
The same type of person that does that in the first place. I don't know.
I guess, yeah. Well, I'm sure he's got his night vision goggles on or something.
The other thing that sounded interesting to me, I think it's like a Native American thing that I heard about out west, was that you basically sit like in a teepee like thing, and they put like hot stones and steam in there, and you just sit in this area where it's like 10 times hotter than a sauna, and you have all these visions and stuff like that. I forgot what it's called, and it kind of reminded me like that. I could probably handle something short term, but 4 days inside your own head.
Yeah, maybe I'm not cultured enough for that stuff, but I feel like a quick hour massage, I'm like good to go. I don't know if I need 4 days at it. Quick quick hot stone massage or full body. I'm ready to roll again. But I guess when you got millions and millions of dollars, you start looking for other stuff to spend it on.
Yeah.
Well, he said it. So yeah, free agency is going to be, it's going to be interesting for the Jets. And, you kind of go one or two ways about it. Like, look at the Jaguars did in free agency, hitting on every single guy. You've seen a lot of misses. Like, I think, the Jets missed on Corey Davis, hasn't really lived up to the potential. Eagles hammered on A.J. Brown. Huge hit there. So free agency is difficult, dude. I think the best teams really build through the draft and get a few extra pieces. It's tough to really build your team specifically through free agency.
And then the guys got to stay healthy too, because Von Miller was working out really nice for the Bills, and you definitely saw a big change in the defense without Von in there. So yeah, there's all these moving pieces in there to building a team. That's what makes free agency so exciting. It's going to be pretty hard to top last year, though, with, you had Devontae Adams, you had Tyreek Hill, Von Miller.
Yeah, it's the quarterback year this year.
It is.
I mean, Kirk Cousins, does he go back to Minnesota?
I don't know, but they said Geno Smith is going to get big money.
I'm sure he will.
They said he could get like a 2-year, $78 million deal.
It's crazy.
I've read on a couple of things. Yeah, could you imagine Geno Smith making near $40 million?
It's crazy. I think my son has his autographed baseball card. It's only worth like $10 or something. So Geno's getting a lot more cash than that.
And I guess the other thing about Derek Carr is, let's say he goes to the Saints, or I think the Panthers is another team that's linked to him.
Yeah.
He goes into like the discussion as a top quarterback in the NFC because it's so bad.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's going to be something that he'll probably use in his decision making.
Is Jalen Hurts the best quarterback in the NFC? I think he might be.
Probably.
Right? Who's better? It's assuming Aaron Rodgers is gone.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of the big, if. But yeah, it'd probably be Rodgers and Hurts close second if he stays. And if not, yeah, Hurts is probably the main man. I mean, that guy's Super Bowl was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably could have won the MVP in a losing battle the way he played.
Sure. Absolutely. What did he score? 3 touchdowns?
He rushed for 3, threw for 1.
Threw for 1. That was a nice big play there to was AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Where he like readjusted to the ball and
yeah, that was a sick throw. Yeah, he was making great throws after great throws. He hit Goddard on a couple nice sideline routes that we were debating back and forth whether he caught the thing or not. I still think he dropped it, but he was throwing some dimes, that's for sure. Yeah.
And that's another thing about the officials too. Like a lot of people also bring, well, it's a script, it's a rig. They wanted the Chiefs to win. Well, they wouldn't have given the Eagles that catch there to Goddard if they didn't want.
I think they were mad because it was terrible timing, obviously. But the rest of the game, there really wasn't a lot of penalties, which I think it made it a pretty enjoyable game to watch. Like, so if they do learn from that, I mean, I'm not saying you need to like fabricate not calling things, but they should realize, like, dude, when you're calling 10, 15 penalties on each team, maybe you're a little too tight on the field making some of these calls. So it made it exciting to watch. And tough timing, but dude, the guy said he held him. I mean, what do you want to do? It was a hold. Like if he says he held him, I held him. I mean, you saw the jersey pull if anyone watched any of the videos. Yeah. That's what the guy saw. You guys saw the jersey being tugged. I mean, he could have let it go, I guess, but he didn't. Get over it, Eagles fans. On to next year. It's like my motto. On to next year for the Jets. Bills, on to next year.
On to next year.
I already have Bills fans texting me Super Bowl 2024. It's unbelievable.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could bring it up. It's the best.
I believe you, and they got a chance, but I'm not,
Yeah, I actually, I was looking at the early lines. I think after watching, Big Cat and, having the Eagles bet, he had 22-1 on the Eagles going into the Super Bowl as a legacy pick. So kind of like you pick it in August and see if it plays out for the Super Bowl, which was an incredible pick. I mean, literally within 3 points of the game. But I kind of I like Detroit. Detroit's like plus 2,500 to 3,000, depending on what book you're looking at. And I mean, would it be impossible to see them come out of the NFC and play in the Super Bowl?
No, and that's a good just to play in the Super Bowl or to win it.
No, to win it. But I'm saying I could see that. I would never take anyone in the AFC because the money's terrible on those teams.
Yeah,
but I mean, you take. Who else are you going to take in the NFC besides Philly or Detroit?
I agree with you.
San Fran.
Yeah, it's hard.
Well, they're no money. I'm saying you're making a pick that you want to state your claim like this was a money pick earlier.
Yeah.
I guess
that's a good odds pick. I just have a hard time. I love them getting there. But it's could I really see Detroit beating the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills?
Well, but you couldn't see the Eagles doing that either. That's the point.
Yeah,
it's you're making this.
But they lost.
No, I know they did, but I'm saying you're making this pick.
Yeah,
saying this is my future to win, but it's got to be win, and you hang your legacy on that pick
It's a good. It's a good odds bet, like how I like the Hargrave, which obviously didn't work out. Odds bet where you could see a path to that happening.
Yeah, how'd your Hassan Reddick defensive player the game work out for you?
Not very well. That's why it was plus 4,000. And again, it's the same thing with the Lions. That could easily not work out either. But it's those those bets where I think you could good odds and you see, okay, here's a path to that happening. So if there's a team in the NFC you like, all they got to do is get there.
Right. Yeah, no, I was like, you got
the Giants. What if the Giants tool up with some receivers?
I don't know. I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know what their odds are. I'm trying to find it, what the futures are, but they're not as easily locatable as they were. Oh, here we go. All sports. Let's see if I can find something. Yeah, I mean the Giants. I mean, I take the Lions over the. Here we go. I take the Lions over the Giants right now. All right, the Lions are plus 3,000. So I'm looking at NFC teams. Niners are plus 800. Eagles are plus 900. Everyone else is an AFC team. Chiefs are the favorite, plus 600. Jets are plus 2,800. The Jets are a better favorite than the Lions. That's insane.
What are the Bills?
Bills are plus 700. Giants are plus 4,000. So
Bengals about plus 700.
Bengals, yeah, plus 1,000.
Oh, they're 1,000.
But dude, they got to go through murderer's row. I would probably go Jaguars and go plus 2,800 on the Jaguars.
Yeah, why not? They get Calvin Ridley applied for reinstatement today.
Right. I mean, that guy, the Pete Rose of football.
Yeah. So if he could come back anywhere near what he was at Atlanta, I mean, look out with that receiving core.
I know. Yeah, well, he's only 1 year removed. He should be good.
He is. I just, when a guy sits out a year, but.
You think he's just been chilling?
I don't know. You would think those guys got to do something. Most of them just don't sit around and, watch Netflix. They're so competitive.
Yeah, I imagine he probably caught up on, a few series or a few episodes of like You or, some of the other big shows out. But I imagine he got a couple lifts in.
All right.
What else?
Last of Us is pretty good on HBO Max. I've been watching that.
Is it? You see what just started was Full Swing, the PGA Tour Live Golf documentary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I watched the first episode at like 3 a.m. when I couldn't sleep last night.
What's that on?
It's on Netflix. It's pretty sick.
Okay.
The first episode's Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas, and then it goes to like Brooks Koepka and like Tiger and I forget who else, but pretty sick special.
Okay.
You have to check that out. What else you got today?
What else I got? I saw a hilarious baseball headline. It was from the Washington Post, and it said something to the effect of like, never has. I almost should pull this up because I want to get the wording right.
Probably before you butcher it, and then it sounds like terrible. You didn't even read it.
I know, right? But it's just how bad the Nationals look going into this year. But the headline was, the Nationals have never been this uninteresting heading into spring training.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, that's a Washington Post headline.
Yeah, that's not the headline you want.
No.
Yeah, I love talking baseball. Actually, I think we should talk about like some of the rule changes.
Yeah.
And like how we feel about that, because like I'm a baseball guy. Like I'll watch a baseball game where I understand when I sit down that it could be a pitcher's duel and the game ends in 2 hours, or you know what, we're going to score 9-8 and it's going to be a 4-hour game. But the fact that like the shift, actually the number one thing, I think the first rule is the shift. Get rid of it. I'm fine with that. Like that's bullshit. Put the guys on the right side of the field. Like we know we could stack 5 guys in one side of the field and really take away the chance for a hit. But I'm perfectly fine with like, you got to stay on your side of second base.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's frustrating. What also frustrates me is that no one ever learned how to beat the shift. Like you got everyone on the right side. How can't these guys figure out to hit it to the left?
Yeah, or why aren't they bunting? But it's because it's an automatic hit. I mean, that's true Moneyball. Like if they wanted to make a Moneyball 2 movie, they should have the Oakland A's just start bunting every time they're up if they truly believe in on-base percentage. But yeah, I mean, it's like we're putting a third baseman in the middle of like the first and second baseman. Like I don't know, it's just ridiculous. So that one,
it's stupid. I've heard of like I've had friends who's been watching games with kids, and then their kids and like, Daddy, why is the second baseman way over there? Because like the little kid knows where second base is supposed to be, and they get confused.
Yeah, it's like, oh no,
that's not the way the game's meant to be played, I guess.
Yeah, there we go. Now we sound like some old timers, but yeah, I agree. So that one I'm actually fine with. The ones that I think are stupid are number one, the pitch clock, and number two, the pickoff rules. So we'll start with the pitch clock. Like, you're at a baseball game, like, dude, it's not like we're watching NBA basketball where it's like a shot clock. Like, do I want to like be sitting there with my beer, peanuts, hanging out, watching the game, and like literally like keep checking right field to like watch a pitch clock to see if he's getting the pitch off in time? It's like, do we really need this? Like, what do the umpires have to do? Like, you know, we're talking about going to electronic umpires. Like, if the guy's slow, send the ump out there and be like, dude, you got to speed up. Like, speed it up a little bit. Like, I don't know.
It's so if I wanted to watch a fast moving game, I'd watch basketball.
Right.
You know what you're getting in baseball.
They say they are they're losing viewers, and they solely think it's due to length of games. I was like, would you send a survey monkey out or something? I don't recall getting it.
Yeah. Just juice the ball.
Right. Yeah. Stop making the games 1-0. You know, just keep juicing it. No, but I just think people that like baseball are going to watch baseball.
Yeah.
Like, it's not for everyone. It is a slow game. Like, do you really think, like, you know, 10-year-old kids are going to be like, dude, I love baseball now. You know what? They have to pitch every 20 seconds.
No, I don't.
It's like the game flies.
No.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm very curious. That of all the rule changes is what I'm most curious to see how that's going to work.
Right, and then
because you got to keep these guys have worked a certain way for years, and now they're going to have to all of a sudden change the way they're working.
Yep. Yeah. If they are a slower delivery pitcher, I mean, it's going to take a generation, right, for it to actually play itself out. So these guys that have been pitching this way all through college, you know, all through high school, and now it finally made it to the majors, are now going to have to change. And it could definitely affect some careers of not being able to make the proper adjustments. It's
absolutely.
And it's, you know, it's just something that it's not even, I don't really think it's going to have that big of an impact on it. But the other one, the pickoffs, is crazy to me now. So now you can only, I want to make sure I get this right, you can only pick the player off twice, attempt to, and then you have to come home on the third. So, like, to me, like, that is completely against baseball and everything that, like, you teach. Like, I coach like a 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and like what we're working on in practice is like how to hold runners on, like, effectively. And if, like, we know they have a really fast runner on their team, like, yeah, you might throw over more than twice while they're on. You know, that's part of the gamesmanship of holding them on, being effective at picking runners off. And now we're, like, completely removing that from the game. If you step off 3 times, it's an automatic balk.
So now you throw over twice, and you're given a huge advantage to the runner now.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you could only throw over once now, because if you throw over twice and don't pick them off, you're kind of screwed.
Right. You have to go home. So now you're pretty much
So now they could take a giant lead, and you can't, you know what I'm saying? And they can't hold them on.
Right. And then what happens in, like, tie games at the end of the game when you pinch run with, like, the fastest guy? It's like now you have such an advantage because you'll probably press the pitcher a little bit more, take an extended lead to get him to throw over twice. So you have that advantage. Like, I'm like you're completely changing the game at that point.
Yeah. So it's almost like with that rule, you almost need someone fast on your bench to put in.
Yeah.
At the end of the game.
Right. Yeah. The Mets had that one guy. What the heck was his name? God, I can't remember his name. He couldn't hit a lick, but he came in at the end of, like, the last, like, 10 or 15 games of the season. That's going to drive me nuts. He's a forgettable player, but I'll figure it out. But yeah, you need a guy like that just to affect the new rules. And I guess the other big rule change is the increased size of the bases.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
To prevent injury. So that
how does that? Yeah, it's funny.
So that's going to prevent injury because the bases are 3 inches bigger. So
Like, are they going to go to like the safety base next? You know,
I know.
like they have in Little League.
Well, a lot of people are like, well, now you're 3 inches closer when you're running to first. You know, will it make those bang bang plays? Like it's going to impact play. It's going to impact plays. Stealing second, you're actually 6 inches because you got 3 inches on each base. You know, so I mean, the catchers are going to pay a price for this one.
And with the pickoff rule, I wonder if they're intentionally trying to get like more stealing back in the game with those rules for like excitement.
Maybe.
I mean, stolen bases are exciting. You know?
Oh yeah. I mean, the fact that like the leading guy is like what 50 steals now.
Yeah, I mean, Jose Reyes was one of my most favorite players, even though he didn't hit a lot of homers because, well, besides he was fun, but he would steal, he would hit all those triples. The speed's an exciting part of the game.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you don't see that as much anymore.
No, I mean, Reyes was probably one of the last guys. I think, you know, Jazz Chisholm's, he's had a bunch, but I mean, Ricky Henderson, I mean, he ended his career. I just looked this up. He had 1,406 steals. Here's was like his years, like his heyday. He had 100 steals, 56, 130, 108, 80, 87, 93. Like, dude, nobody even comes close to that now.
130 is like one a game. Like they knew he was going and they couldn't catch him. Tim Raines had a bunch of 100 steal seasons, I believe, as well.
Right. Yeah, they call out should increase the number of steals throughout the season. I'm like, who's working on that project? Be like, all right, guys, how can we figure it? Be like, you know what? Let's just make the bases bigger. All right, we're done. Where do you guys want to go for lunch? That was easy.
Yeah, that's just absurd.
Be like, let's go down to 60-foot bases like Little League. That'll really excite the game.
So I'm gauging that you do not think these measures are going to draw in any more fans or make the game more exciting.
I mean,
is what I'm gathering.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm talking to some buddies and it's like, hey, you want to go check out a ball game? I'll be interested if they say, yeah, I'm really excited to go see the pitch clock or the bigger bases.
Yeah. So you don't think that's going to get Coach Jobson to watch a game?
Maybe. Yeah, he's a huge baseball fan when it's like October and Game 7. I think that's the only game he'll tune in for like 3 innings. Yeah, it's crazy.
But with the new bases, maybe there's a shot in the pitch clock.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I'm sure. I doubt it. But yeah, baseball's coming. You know, it's pretty. This is you know, I love Jets football, but I ride or die Mets. And love talking Mets. So
one other thing about the Mets was that you sent me about Jacob deGrom, and I'll laugh because it's nothing serious. I don't want anything bad to happen to the guy.
Oh no, but it's going to be serious.
He's already injured.
It's going to be serious. We've been through this way too much. It's definitely going. It's gonna be serious. I love it. When they say it was a little cold, I'm like, where does Texas like do their spring training? What do they head up north? I'm like, it's a little chilly, so he's going to hold off a couple of days. I was like, well, that pretty much means he won't pitch till the All-Star break.
I know.
In Mets terms.
It's unbelievable. But if it's a game, he would have gone. Sure, you would have thrown.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we've heard that story before. He's cashing that check and not paying his state income tax, and you'll be lucky to get a few games out of the guy.
Yeah. So maybe it is the swap for Verlander, who's going to pitch in the World Baseball Classic. How do you feel about that? About him pitching in the World Baseball Classic and getting out those extra innings on his arm?
Yeah, I mean, he probably won't pitch a ton. And like the guy's seasoned at this point. I think he knows his body. Like he's been a warrior. But I mean, I wish I had like tons of wood to knock on to hope nothing happens here. But I mean, I think that like if something were to happen, it would be something fluky. You know, he's not someone that has that history, even though Scherzer didn't either. And last year, of course, something came up for him.
Well, he's not Jacob deGrom. Could you imagine if Jacob deGrom was pitching in the World Baseball Classic?
Yeah, that had zero chance. Yeah, there's a bunch of Mets playing in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be be something to watch.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to seeing Lindor and Correa play on the same, but Correa is going to sit out.
Oh, yes, ankle injury.
Yeah, no, he's fine. He's just sitting out. They said his wife is expecting a baby, and the logistics of traveling back and forth will be too much.
No, I thought he failed another physical.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's the cover.
He failed the World Baseball Classic physical. They just basically asked him if he could play, and he's like, "Yeah, I think so."
Yeah.
They're like, "All right, you failed."
Yeah, Puerto Rico saw the X-ray, and they're like, "Ooh, we don't want you, man."
They're like, "Oh wait, the Mets and Giants wouldn't take you because of a physical? Back to Minnesota." We'll see, dude. I saw Beatty's putting in some serious work in this offseason. So yeah,
Good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I like the guy. It didn't work out. It was cool for a little while having Correa on our team, but I think we're stacked and ready to go. I can't wait to really get in and deep dive into some Mets talk coming up soon. As these guys, they're there. Yeah. They're starting to put in some work, and we'll see what happens.
And I think that this is a New York podcast, we're going to have to get some Yankees guys on here, talk about the Yankees.
Oh, definitely.
So I know some people are going to be happy about that. That's one thing I've gotten is, aren't you guys going to talk about the Yankees? And I'm like, well, they are in New York. Yeah. We just don't happen to be, neither of us happen to be fans.
Yeah. When we need to crap on them, we'll bring some fans on. But if they're looking for a Yankees podcast, probably want to tune in somewhere else. That'll be a spot show. But yeah. And then I don't know if you saw last night, but big Cuse win last night. Over
I watched big
Cuse win over NC State. Similar situation to a couple of the games where they had a chance to win it and they finally held on at the end.
Yeah, I watched the condensed game. I didn't see the full thing. Yeah, and they were down 8-9 points, Cuse, in the first half, and it seemed like Girard played well. He's like the Gabe Davis, if you will, that sometimes plays well and other times could drive you crazy. Yeah. And that's exciting. I think the thing for Cuse is Judah Mintz is he's the guy we're going to ride and die by, and if we can get him to come back for another year.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely be back. Him and Edwards need to keep like Girard needs to hit his shots, but when the game's on the line, the ball needs to be in Mintz's hand. I mean, Girard tried to do Edwards was coming up to set a screen, and Girard passed him the ball. It literally hit off his arm and went off with a minute to go. I was like, all right, what are we doing? Give the ball back to Mintz. And then you kept seeing Mintz feeding it into Edwards, who made a great and one at the end of the game, and then took a charge on the other end. For Cuse to maintain the lead. So that was huge.
He hit a 3 too, didn't he?
He hit a 3, yeah. Boeheim, Mr. Crotchety Boeheim said if he hits a 3, well, geez, we better win that game.
Yeah. But NC State was ranked. It said it was the first time in 2 years Cuse has beat a ranked opponent.
That's great. Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know how that's possible, but
yeah, I don't know. We'd have to look at that. But it was nice to see, and you're starting to really see these freshmen, evolve. And it seems to be the story at Cuse. They're like the opposite of the Mets. Like the Mets start out super strong. They give us all this hope in April, May, and June, and then they falter down the stretch. Where Cuse, they start out so slow, and then the zone starts. They start to figure out how to play the zone, and these guys, these freshmen and young players, start to grow up. But they're starting to play. If we can get in this dance this year, it'll be fun to watch Syracuse playing in March, because these young guys, Mintz can play. I mean, these guys can play, and if they play defense, you can beat anyone.
Yeah, and that Bell and who's the guy with the long hair?
Brown. Yeah, Malik Brown.
He flashes sometimes. Bell flashes sometimes. Yeah,
I think Bell played 30, 35 minutes last night. He hits threes. You hit shots, you're going to play. You rebound, you're going to play. That's the story with Boeheim. If they need Mintz, they need Edwards, and they need Girard to play well, and the other guys need to just do their part.
Be their complementary.
Be their role players.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How many games are left?
I don't know exactly. We got Duke coming up, which is obviously huge. So that one will be a big one. I mean, this was a tier 1 win. I mean, they were ranked 23, so that'll help them. You know, they have a couple close losses. That is going to be what's going to be come down to the whole bubble conversation on that Sunday, is like how much value they'll put in the Syracuse close losses when, you know, at the end of the day, because they had the UNC game, Virginia Tech. I mean, they had some tight games where like it was that, you know, Mintz tried to do a little bit too much. That's what I like to see this last game, was his growth, is where he didn't feel like he needed to take that last shot. He dumped it down to Edwards. So that's like huge. Like when you're looking at players and like evaluating them, like he's growing as a point guard and realizing like he doesn't need to do everything on his own. So we'll see. Like these next couple weeks, I mean, it probably goes without saying, are huge, where we need to pick up a couple big wins so we could be watching some March Madness.
Yeah, but if they could get to 20 wins, you think they'd be in?
Yeah, I mean, they got to win a few more games. I mean, they're
16 and 10.
16 and 10 right now, and they have a decent record in the ACC, but a lot of the wins are against some lower level. Like last night was finally a win against a ranked opponent. You know, let's see how many games. So they got Duke. Duke next, Clemson, at Pitt, versus home against Georgia Tech and Wake Forest. So
they got a few good games. They can get another marquee win or two in there. Yeah,
Duke would be huge. So that's what I mean. So, yeah, they had the close loss to Virginia where they had a chance, or 67-62, and then UNC. They really should have won that game if they would have just boxed the guy out. So it's basically going to see is how much stock the committee will put in there. Into those games. So they have, their record's 16 and 10, 5 games left plus the ACC tournament. They could get to 20 wins.
Yeah.
I think they win 2 or 3 of these. Yeah. You win 2 or 3 of these. I think if they win 2 or 3 of these and they get to 20, they'll be in. You know, ACC's tough. So that's all I got though, my man.
Yeah. I got nothing.
All right. So I'm on vacation next week. So it might be a remote, shorter podcast.
Okay.
And be able to catch up then. I'm going to go catch some sun down in sunny Florida for a little while and be back at it. But yeah, hopefully we can get a quick one. Maybe if I just record from my phone and get something out there for the audience.
There you go.
All right, buddy.
Have a safe trip.
All right. See you, buddy.
Thank you for listening to Rivals Sports Pod. Please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also email us at rivalsportspod@gmail.com with any topics, ideas, or questions.